I have a 30-year-old, my son, who graduated from college in 2023 with a bachelor's degree in economics. Then in 2024, he decided that he wanted to fulfill a long dream of his, which was to join the military. So that's what he did. He's an infantryman now. Okay. One day he calls me and we're having a conversation about life. And he asked me, he said, "Mama, have you ever thought about, what is it all for? And, and where do you go and things like that?" There was a lot of things that he said to me that I had to really be careful how I answered them, because I have a master's degree in marriage and family counseling and a bachelor's in psychology. However, I did my intern at a children's therapy clinic, and so I started to look at kids a little different. And although he's not a kid, but I had to understand that I'm still going to look at him from him being my child. So I had to make sure that I answer him as clear as I could from a perspective, because, make sure I don't blur the lines. Here's what I explained to him about life. I think the problem that we have, a lot of us, is believing that we control our destiny in terms of when something is supposed to happen to us. Not only that, but we have to also recognize that we are not our thoughts, right? So although you might have these thoughts sometimes or whatever, you are not your thoughts, all right? Because if we were, you know how many times I would have been in jail for smacking somebody? So what I'm saying, the devil will play, but when you are aligned, then you know the difference between who's speaking to you and who's not, and when they're speaking to you. And not only that, but I also explained to him that if you feel like there's something that you should have did, or somewhere in life where you took a right where you should have took a left or something like that, listen, you got to learn to forgive yourself. Here's the thing. There's 3 ways in which we can approach situations in life. There's 3 ways. You got red light, green light, yellow light. That's it. And what I mean by that is you can take the easy way and take shortcuts. That's the red light. You already know if you take shortcuts, eventually you're going to start burning the candle at both ends. Then you already know that there's the yellow light to say, okay, I can do a little bit of this, I can do a little bit of that, kind of like sticking your foot in the water and you're not really sure. You know the right way, but you're not really doing what you're supposed to do. And then that green way, when everything about you knows that this is the route you're supposed to take. These are the choices that we make in life. And sometimes we have to go through those red lights and those yellow lights in order to understand. Because what I also know is that when it comes to life, you're going to keep on repeating the same lesson until you do something different. And this is what I explained to my son. See, because when I was telling him that, hey, son, when are you going to graduate college? Because it took him 10 years to get his degree. But, hey, now he feels like he's behind on things when it comes to certain things. And I said, son, you are exactly where you're supposed to be at. Because the way it works is that the universe do not promote you to the next level until you learn the lessons that you were meant to learn at that level. So when you look at life, understand, you might not see what you're supposed to learn, but you'll know when you've learned it. Because why? You'll know you're aligned. And then right at that moment, you'll feel yourself evolve. You'll feel yourself elevate. But if you always find yourself taking 1 step forward and 2 steps back, sometimes you got to really ask yourself, what am I doing? What am I doing? So I don't know who this is for, but I know it just wasn't for my son. So, all right, y'all. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.